Hey guys, welcome to another episode of No Holds Barred Wrestling Radio. I'm your host Kyle. My two co-hosts are not with me today. I'll just be doing Raw review alone. It's a pretty good Raw live from the UK tonight at the O2 Arena. SmackDown will be too. I'll get right into it in the opening segment. We had the Wyatt family in the ring cutting a promo. Bray Wyatt singing "The Whole World in His Hands." The crowd was very in favor of the Wyatt family tonight. As the UK crowds are, they're pretty crazy. A lot of cheering for the heels, booing the faces, or cheering just whoever they want. It was the usual Bray Wyatt promo talking about John Cena. Then Cena cuts them off, so Eric Rowan and Luke Harper go up to the ramp to stop John Cena, but John Cena comes from the crowd, ends up AAing Bray Wyatt, and then runs away like a coward. Just, I guess, hyping their match at Payback, which is going to be Last Man Standing. But jumping into match number one, we have Cesaro against Sheamus. I was already looking forward to this match. It's a great back and forth match between these guys. Two dynamic superstars going at it head to head. Sheamus ends up losing. Cesaro picks up the victory. Sheamus still goes for the handshake, but gets slapped away by Cesaro. I'm thinking maybe a possible feud in the near future. And I think that'd be a pretty good feud. These guys put up a pretty good match. And Paul Heyman still continuing his WrestleMania 30 preach about The Undertaker and losing the streak. I don't know when we're going to see this end. Other than that, we go into match number two. We have the Beat the Clock Challenge tonight for an IC title shot. We get into the first one, which is Big E versus Ryback. I'm not sure why Big E was not facing Rusev. I mean, you had last week Rusev and Big E kind of going at it, but why wouldn't you? I think it would have made sense to have Big E versus Rusev to have a Beat the Clock challenge and have Rusev sway away from the squash matches he's been doing. But other than that, it was an okay match for the type of match that it was. It ends up only being 5 minutes. And I guess WWE is just using the Beat the Clock as an excuse to have short matches for the second week in a row. A match was supposed to happen after this with R-Truth and Naomi and Fandango and Layla. It never happened. Summer Rae made her return, comes to the ring, kisses Fandango, kind of just brawls around with Layla. The crowd was very into this. I was too. Maybe we'll see a match with Summer Rae and Layla. I'd love to see that. Both really good divas. We get into the next segment. Daniel Bryan's music hits. Huge pop, except Stephanie McMahon comes out doing the yes, and the crowd just giving such heat to Stephanie McMahon because of this, and I would too, personally. Stephanie comes to the ring and says yes for Daniel Bryan's surgery, and it was successful. Then she goes around pulling a Wade Barrett and says she's got some bad news, and the whole crowd gives her even more heat. She says she might have to strip Daniel Bryan of the titles and give it to who. She names off Kane, Batista, Bad News Barrett. And when she says that, the crowd goes nuts, and she's like, yeah, it's typical UK fans. Then she says she could give it to the COO, Triple H. And then what they did cut out, what I noticed is there was huge CM Punk chants to whoever, because she said whoever she might give the belt to, but then they cropped it out because it wasn't a live crowd. It was taped earlier, and they cropped it out to "You suck," and it was really poorly done because if you look at the crowd, they are saying CM Punk and not "You suck." So I thought it would be a way to go on that, trying to hide CM Punk. But anyways, she says next week Daniel Bryan's going to have to surrender the titles, which I'm not looking forward to. We'll have to see next week. I'm kind of looking forward into Raw next week to see what happens. All right, and after that, there's a really quick squash match. I didn't really get into it. It's very boring. Rusev just squashed Heath Slater. We'll skip that. I don't give a crap about that. Into the RVD versus ADR match, the second Beat the Clock Challenge match. For what it was worth, RVD wins this match. He ends up having the fastest time after this match. It's a pretty good match for the amount of time there was. I'd love to see RVD and ADR go at it for a good 15-minute match. Hopefully down the road we get to see that. But RVD picks up the victory. I really thought ADR was going to get a shot at the title, but again, it looks like he's getting screwed. I'm sure my match technician, Brandon, would be pissed about that since ADR is his favorite superstar. We'll get into the next match. We had Seth Rollins against Batista. Triple H came out first, and I guess he was announced as the special ring announcer, which I thought was pretty funny. And he announces that they're going to need a special guest timekeeper, and you guessed it, it's Randy Orton, another member of Evolution, I guess trying to get the upper hand on Seth Rollins. Other than that, it was a pretty good match. I'd say it was a good 10-minute match. This was hyping their Evolution vs. Shield payback match. Shield and Evolution end up brawling after the match, and they're just two stare down at the end. Getting into the next match, we have Alicia Fox against Paige. The crowd very in favor of Paige, obviously. It started out back and forth until Alicia Fox started dominating like she usually did. She ends up kicking out of the Paige Turner, which I thought, wow, that's the first time we see in WWE someone kicking out of the Paige Turner. I don't know if I don't really remember if anyone kicked out of it in NXT. I think I might have seen it once, but pretty crazy how Alicia kicked out of that, and then she pinned her clean. So Paige loses in the UK, but like there was no finishing move or whatever. But again, WWE burying people in their own country, which is pretty bad, but that's typical WWE. But it was a terrible way to end the match. I guess Alicia Fox still continues to freak out after she even wins. She ends up grabbing some fans' pop and dumping all over her. But whatever, we'll move on. To the next match, we have another Beat the Clock Challenge match, which is the last one. Mark Henry against Dolph Ziggler. This was a pretty good match, I thought, except it couldn't beat the clock in time as Dolph Ziggler hit a pretty clean zigzag at the end there on Mark Henry, who's a really big guy, but didn't get the pin in time. I think Dolph deserves a title shot as well. He's been wrestling mid-card for a while now and hasn't seen any title shots recently. I'd love to see Dolph and ADR get title shots soon, but RVD comes out to celebrate, and Wade Barrett from behind hits him with the bull hammer, and the crowd goes absolutely ballistic, obviously in the UK. Says he's got some bad news, says his little spiel, and on to the next segment. We had an Adam Rose segment. Comes out to a huge pop, the crowd singing his theme, which I thought was pretty cool. Talks about Zed, he's in there with Renee Young, talks about Zeb Coulter and Swagger, and just wants them to have more fun. They interrupt Swagger and Coulter, and as they're coming out, the crowd's still singing Adam Rose's theme. Kind of pisses off Zeb Coulter. Zeb Coulter kind of just challenges Adam Rose to mano-a-mano, let's settle this in the ring. Except Swagger gives a cheap shot to Adam Rose. We actually see Adam Rose fight. He fights back. No really wrestling moves, but he fights back. We see some physical stuff from Adam Rose. Punches Swagger out of the ring. I'm hoping to see Swagger against Adam Rose at Payback. I'd love to see Adam Rose in a match. It's about time he gets into one, but pretty good segment to end that. And on to the main event, we have John Cena against Luke Harper. John Cena coming out to the John Cena Sucks song. I'm glad the UK fans still remember that from WrestleMania 30, the Raw after. I really hope they continue this song. It's something that needs to catch on, like the Kurt Angle "You Suck." This needs to catch on. But anyways, into the match, John Cena came to the ring with the Usos for protection, I guess, because he's still a coward. Harper dominated most of the match and ends up turning into back and forth between John Cena and Luke Harper. It ends in a really DQ, but I really enjoyed the match. It was pretty long. Definitely well worth watching. Again, hyping for their last man standing match at Payback. The Wyatt's got the upper hand this time. Drag John Cena up to the entrance ramp, and then gives his sister Abigail on the ramp, and then ends the show off by singing "The Whole World" and Luke Harper counting to 10 as they would in the last man standing. Other than that, it's a pretty good Raw for UK show. I'm hoping SmackDown is going to be even better, or at least somewhat good. They're hyping Hulk Hogan's to be on there. Probably should give it a little segment. Other than that, Raw is pretty good, guys. Please like this video. Leave us a comment on your thoughts. Share this video, whatever. Subscribe to us. Just click that button. It's easy as that. And follow us at Twitter at NoHoldsBarredWR. I'm your host, Kyle. That's up.